We're live.
And we're bearing it all.
Nice hair content.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Well
very nice. Mine's
distributed.
mine's about the same as that, except it's curly. Yours is like straight.
What can I do? I got a perm one time, but
Flattened by the clothing. Mine's CGI.
yours
I
is
I have
CGI.
someone has YouTube playing in the background.
I apologize. I'm fucking guilty.
Thank you.
Yours is CGI.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks for killing
It's
that.
healed. I
Well,
stand
it all
sorry.
happens now.
Welcome,
Something will be
Almighty
revealed.
God. Welcome, Almighty God and general public and guardian angels and NSA, Google, whoever. Welcome, co-contemplators. Welcome to the cusp of time, this time, our time. The Apostle Paul ain't here. We are, and this is as real as it gets. Allow me to reintroduce our co-participants, Richard, the Madsen, and JG. And, of course, me, your wannabe patron saint of God in Christ Jesus, Tommy. Hey, Papa.
Tonight, Tommy's going to be revealing some most personal secrets, so stay tuned for that. And bring very tough questions to the side chat if you can, as pressing as you can, because that's truly what he wants and what he desires.
And Richard will play the role of castrated moderator, unable to mute anyone, and fully compliant with other visionaries with whatever the fuck they want to say. Right?
I'd like to add to your opening that I believe it's a truism that the influence of Satan and the demons onto this earth through people is informational, and it's false information. It's bad. It's lies, and that comes to us through what I can label prayer. And
Damn.
the electricity may go off. They're working on the electricity locally, and it just flashed. So if I disappear, you guys keep going, okay?
It's probably demons, Richard.
We
No,
want
it's
Demons,
probably just
demons everywhere.
no. It's just the electric company is about a
Oh,
quarter mile that way because they had an outage, and they may have to shut us down to fix that.
okay.
I don't know.
Well, Richard, I want to ask you about the prayer. Is it your contention that you should abstain from praying, or in certain
Not at all.
ways? Oh,
Yeah.
not
Because
in
the
public.
Apostle
Not.
Paul, the Apostle Paul says pray continuously.
Yeah, pray
Yes,
without
Yeah.
ceasing.
pray without
Yeah.
ceasing. That's right.
Yeah.
And when
During
when
waking
David
moments.
when David starts praying ceasingly, all he has success in all things at all times, which is
You
amazing.
you mean when Paul rests?
No,
You
David.
said David praying
David
without
prays
ceasing.
ceasingly. What
Yeah,
kind of oxymoronic conundrum is that?
I don't know what's
How can
oxymoronic
one
about
pray
David praying.
ceasingly?
Yeah, no, it did sound confusing. Pray ceasingly.
Pray without ceasing.
Right.
Uh,
During waking hours, Tommy, not necessarily when a person's asleep
oh, good.
or pooping. They might not pray while pooping. That's okay. Um,
Seems like a decent time. You're not really busy. You're sitting down, just calm and relaxed. I mean,
Hey,
maybe
God's
maybe
always
disrespect.
adoring.
People pray to the porcelain god. That's well known, right? As they say.
not the same thing, I think. But
No.
yeah, I
Who's
see
the
your point. But if your idea, if your mental state when you're relieving yourself is such that I'm alone, I can concentrate now. I'm not distracted by other things. No one's going to bother me. You know, if that's what that is for you, it might be a great time to pray. I don't know.
who is the biggest voyeur of all reality? God. Just
Um,
constantly
Voyeur has
adoring.
it has a sexual implication to it, though, Tommy.
Well, who
Definitionally.
invented sex?
Hmm. He went
peace and
there.
respect, Mac, and also gaming. Thanks for dropping by, Crypta.
What, are you going to start saying sex is dirty, JT?
Oh
Huh?
well, are you going to start telling me that it's
Penis.
each? Oh, there it is. Within 5 minutes.
So, so my point is, that in order that the evil have influence on us, it has to be communicating ideas to us, and that is definitionally prayer, in my opinion. And that because of the claims of the Bible, if those things are true, then they don't need to be physically here. Give me some camera talking, because I'm doing an open stream here, and people trying to disrupt the stream.
Yeah, you're talking
Peace and respect, Tapioca, and Harpo Blues as well.
So you're talking some spiritual ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
Thank you.
heard
You
about.
can shut it back off if you want. You can leave it on, whatever.
I mean, whatever y'all want to do, I don't care.
All right, talking trees.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Was
I've
somebody
heard
giving you
about.
was somebody
I've
giving
heard
you a hard
about.
time, Richard? About like spoof, like trying to ruin your stream or something?
No. I just want to prevent it from happening, because I put the link directly into the side chat and pinned it. And if they find that, they have some kind of search engine where they can find those,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll try to ruin your stream. Peace and respect,
Oh, wow.
the Octagon,
Yeah.
which the Octagon I've never seen before. So welcome, thank you.
Fresh meat, aisle 3.
Oh, Chuck Norris film.
Is it?
Yeah.
Not much on pop culture.
But Richard, I've not to hog the microphone, but I've heard about doctrines of demons everywhere, demons in your balls, demons in your hair, demons in your mind, demons in triangles, in dogs, cats.
Yes,
I've
everywhere.
heard about
Covered it.
doctrines of demons everywhere, imagining that demons are injecting thoughts in your mind. Yeah, I've heard about that before. And you're claiming, allegedly, that if a man prays, that he is subject to demon injection of thought. Oh,
yes.
Richard.
Now, I mean that whether they pray on purpose or by accident.
Yeah.
And what I suggest to defeat lies is to test everything received in the spirit. That is, it should be falsifiable, and it should hold up against the actuality. And if it doesn't, simply toss it away.
So what do you say when someone takes that advice and says, you know what, maybe I just shouldn't pray, therefore I won't be making contact with evil? What would you say to that?
Well, that's their decision, but I think they're not going to be very spiritually led by the Father or angels if they choose to not pray. Peace and respect, Maynard saves.
When did you become an ordained demonologist, Richard?
Well, it was experiential, so I'm not ordained.
Oh, I see. How many demons can dance on the head of a pin and still leave room for the wet bar and a mariachi band?
Less than one.
Really?
Because they're full-sized living beings just like we are. Mm-hmm. And a pin compared to us is very small, and no more than you can dance on the head of a pin, neither could a demon.
But he didn't mention the size of this pin.
That's true.
I assumed it meant something close to a normal pin, because that's what's being referred to in the expression.
Thank you. Do all succubus have acne and sharp teeth?
I don't know that there are succubus. Peace and respect.
You like the band Incubus.
I finally got an evil ignorance claim out of Richard. Tell me I ain't good. Tell me I ain't trained. To get an evil ignorance claim out of a man such as Richard, who has so much experience with imaginary demons, that's the shit.
Take the rest of the month.
I can take the rest of the day off. Hell yeah. Damn.
You've done your job now. Yeah, it's evident to me in the text and in reality experientially that I received a lot of things that were lies and a lot of things that were truths. So the only solution to that is falsifiability. So what I recommend is, at first, what a person do is they kind of file all the ideas and don't take them seriously, but one at a time and methodically test them to see if they're true in reality. And then if they're true, apply them. And then if they're not, simply let them go.
Yeah, I imagine some of the ideas you're not going to be able to distinguish right away, right? They're going to be leading you in certain ways that you have to find out through experience or experiment.
Yes, some of them are like intangible. Some things are physical, and some things are intangible. And the, I mean, this is the part of the reason why I had to go and learn basic logic, is because
Wow.
I could not figure out some of them.
Do all demons speak Latin?
From what I can tell, both the demonic and the angelic speak every language of this planet, and a few we don't know.
Wow. And I won't even begin to ask you about the other 23 planets. I won't.
I think human nature is human nature, and we're given our languages through these guidances in what we would naturally call prayer, and that none of these languages are accidental or quote unquote evolved. Although since they were given, they do evolve because we use them in different and interesting ways.
Well, I wish to express my gratitude. Thank you, Richard, for for confessing your fears of demons. Demons everywhere. Demons injecting thoughts in your mind. Somebody told you.
Angels as well.
Somebody
Tommy.
indoctrinated you, Richard,
Angels
about
as well,
evil.
Tommy.
Huh?
He's dropping some angels, so just
I
deal
said
with
angels as well. We get bombarded with ideas from
Good.
angels
Guardian
that are
angels
also true.
are
That's
all
That's one nickname for them. Yeah.
are all angels blonde and hot?
No, they're not. In order for you to have an ethnic group in heaven, you'd had to have been born in sin. You'd had to have been born onto an earth. Of course, angels aren't taken to marriage. So the eventuality is that everyone ends up looking like they're perhaps from Brazil. So if in heaven an angel has the apparent ethnic differentiation, it's because they were early into that heaven.
that goes without saying.
I've invented a new.
Such a smart ass.
Sorry.
I'm just saying it logically follows that okay, you take any enclosed environment and you say you guys love who you love and be true to the one you love until you stop loving them, in which case find someone else to love, and when you do have children and fill the promised land, subdue it, claim it as your own, and fill the promised land. Eventually what you're going to end up there is you're going to end up with the overall average of ethnic groups, which I mean I'm approximating when I say something like Brazil, but it's not as pale as me, that's for sure.
Oh God. Richard, would you be interested in playing the new Christian board game called Holy Spirit Ouija Board?
I don't think
Holy
so.
Spirit Ouija Board. It is a way to imagine communicating with God, the Holy Spirit. It's a group game only played by faith. Would you be interested in playing?
Can you pause? Thank you. Thank you,
Tommy
Midnight.
break.
Huh?
I just had to get my friend Midnight here to flip me off, so I knew it was Midnight.
Every time I have to flip him off, even though he knows it's me. And by the way, Richard, talking about somebody being less tanned than you, or whatever you said.
Go
I'm
like
an
this,
albino.
Mac. Thank you, Mac. Yep,
Oh,
you're an
God.
albino. It's true.
Hey guys.
Well, I'm whiter than you. And that's.
You had to confirm Mac coming in?
Yeah, I mean, Richard is paranoid about trolls, and I get it, but it's like, come on, man, you know me.
It's not impossible for any given person to steal your picture or even a movie of you and put your name at the bottom. It's not hard.
It's a fair point.
True, but at the same time, it's really hard to. It's really. You know what's funny? You know what? Maybe I shouldn't give trolls ideas.
Well, you got the giggles.
Nobody can imitate you.
What's wrong with that, Mr. J? I thought you weren't talking to atheists.
Midnight Spackle, you dare contest me?
Gay J, gay J. Gay G.
Tapioca, I couldn't see you. Could you put up 3 fingers on your right hand, please? Thank you.
Dude, come on, I'm just joshing you. Relax.
Oh my gosh, Midnight, you're so good.
Oh, I'm limited to 6, Tapioca. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I can.
I was given someone else's account, and I didn't know it was limited to 6. Anybody sick? Is anybody sick of the conversation and would let Tapioca in for a while?
Yeah, we'll
I mean-
train him for spackle. That's cool.
Have I got to be a fucking martyr again?
No, I'll be. You know what? You know what? You know what? You know what, Saint Tommy? I'll be a martyr to let Tapioca Weasel in here.
Okay, thanks, Midnight. It's awful generous of you. You sure?
I mean, yeah.
There. Okay, he said him.
Get
Sure.
out. Take your stick and get out.
Peace and
Hey.
respect, Tapioca Weasel.
Peace and respect, Richard.
Actually,
I was
Doctor Tapioca Weasel.
I was just gonna make the comment. It's not paranoia if they actually are out to snipe your stream and screw with you, right? So
Right. Right. If it's justified.
it's very, very reasonable.
It's
All right,
so I
always
guess-
where were we?
until
I
they-
guess you don't want to play the Holy Spirit Ouija board with me? You know?
Seems like you're crossing
So
lines.
Dr. Tapioca Weasel wrote in the side chat, Mac, the human, was the statement about 23 other planets a specific number for a reason? Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, where does that come from?
It comes from several expressions. Most specifically, I can cite Zuni Indian, Native American Indian, and the Bible. In the Red Star Kachina, or this thing behind me, which Christians call chapter 4 of the book of Revelation, quote unquote, the throne room of heaven. That's the label that's on it. Where there is one heaven for us, those being the smallest of these spheres, small ones. And there's 23 that occurred before it. So yeah, it's real specific for that reason.
Cool.
Oh, and by the way, the Zuni Indian had the Red Star Kachina well before any Hispanics or Nords or any of the Brits came over here. Europeans.
Yeah, as with most things that the Indians had.
Yes. Now they took their religion
except
underground,
for horses. That's really the
but they
big
did
one
not
that's sort
have
of the-
horses,
Yeah,
despite
That's-
American culture
right.
and their representation recently of like the idea that the Indians always had horses. That's just not true.
I mean, they took to them like everybody else took to them because horses are just manifestly
Freaking
useful.
awesome.
Mhm.
Do I,
Anyway,
do
I
still-
didn't want to change the subject if people were on a roll about demons or
I'm
whatever.
just trying to keep it going. I'm just trying
Yep,
to
yep.
keep it going. So Tapioca Weasel, in your atheism and in the conversation we were having just before you came in, do you realize that I'm accusing you of accidental prayer to both angels and demons?
I missed, I think, the first 2 or 3 minutes of the stream, but I caught enough to realize that, yes.
And what do you think
if
of
I
all
can,
that?
So my understanding is that your position is that communication with these divine entities. Would you consider demons to be divine entities, if corrupted divine entities, or would you prefer a different word?
Oh, no, that's a Christian construct that can't be derived from the text as far as I can tell.
Okay.
Although there are fallen angels, Lucifer, or Azazel and his buddies, there were those, but they're apparently waiting sentencing. They haven't been kicked out of heaven yet. So they're like
Okay.
in heaven jail, I guess. And they get destroyed with this planet destroyed. That is, they're waiting on that. So, but then there's this other entity that was the Elohim, which are without emotion. And they're the ones that we say are quote-unquote evil, which to themselves they're not evil. They're just normal. It just so happens
Tommy
that since
time.
we're...
Tommy
Okay,
time.
Tommy time out.
Tapioca, don't let Richard fearmonger you about imaginary evil entities. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah,
I can
That's not.
I can see
I don't-
the
I
rest
don't
of
think-
my Tommy time.
That's not something that any of y'all need to worry about.
Right on.
Thank you.
No, Tapioca is such that he can do an internal critique of an idea without being attached to it, and nor is he going to be offended by it.
Oh wow.
That sounds tidy.
I try to, at least, you know.
I think you're pretty
Amazing.
good at it.
I try hard. I love that.
Okay,
Amazing.
so they're a completely different species. They're not Homo sapiens sapien at all.
Do you think that they're fundamentally are they fundamentally biological though? Are they just
Yes, yeah, they're naturally occurring animal.
Do they have big wieners?
In the book of Ezekiel, they do have big wieners. Yes.
Relative to gingers or some other part of the one human race?
And they live on a different planet, or they live on Earth, or they live in a different dimension?
No, I try to avoid unnecessary complexity and assumptions that don't have to be made. So because there are entire galaxies we cannot discern, I'm willing to accept there's a planet we can't find.
Okay, it reminds me quite a bit of sort of my very limited understanding of the Mormon views of God.
Okay.
It's my understanding that in Mormonism, there is a specific star where Yahweh lives, for example. That understanding could be incorrect, but it's sort of, it goes into the kind of Mormon idea of in heaven people get their own planets and whatnot if they're a man, at least.
Okay, let me explain why they think that.
Yeah.
The text is very, very specific and making absolutely gigantic promises that Christians never see happen. Like, I'll answer all your prayers, right? That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But if you read the story, it does happen to Christ. That he's put in charge of heaven, thereby he rules over angels. That he has every one of his prayers answered, whether it's encouragement or some kind of informational inquiry, or exactly what to say when put in front of the judge. Not every Christian goes in front of a judge needing the Holy Spirit to tell them what to say because they're freaking nervous out their mind, over their heads nervous.
Yeah.
But that does happen to Christ with Pontius Pilate.
Have you ever had Mormonitis?
So in understanding that the text is for the Christ and for actually very little for anybody else, the Mormons have assumed they're the intended reader when they can't be. Okay? So when it says, it promises things like you'll have your own heaven and you'll be like in charge of an entire world's worth of people, which he will, the Mormon thinks it means them.
Interesting. Yeah. Have you ever talked with Derek from Mythvision about your ideas?
I would. I mean, I'd be more than happy to talk to Derek. I don't know the man.
I think you guys would have a fascinating conversation. Some of the ideas that you're mentioning here are evocative, or at least in my mind, of preteristic ideas in terms of understanding and valuing who the audience of the text is, who it is intended to be read by.
Right.
Preterism, I think, generally entails the idea that, like the New Testament and the Gospels, for example, were written for the people at that time, and that a preteristic interpretation of Revelation is all about the like destruction of the temple in 70 AD and things such as that. And all of that.
Does he agree with those ideas, or does he entertain those ideas?
Well, he's an atheist. He went through a stage during his time as a Christian where I think he did entertain those ideas for quite a bit of time. But he, like me, is an atheist now, I believe.
Well, I gathered that from just what brief watching of his show. And I've seen him have real scholars on and super interesting ideas. I just feel I can debunk absolutely every one of them. And I mean, universally all of them, and fairly easily if the person's open to an argument. And here's why. I think that many people have lost their religion, especially in seminary, when they're shown that these things are not historical events. There's some percentage that are historical events, but there's a lot of it made up whole cloth. And they lose their religion because they find that out. And perhaps that's what Myth Vision Derek is talking about, is that he saw that these things are not historically accurate, and he depended on that for what he believed it was trying to say, and thereby it lost all meaning when it lost its historicity. But if I said something like, it's obvious parts of it are prophetic because you and I are standing here talking and heaven hasn't arrived. That's obvious. But why is it we're changing the context of it? Because it's using local events and people and townships, and some made up just because you can't make it fit the story. But it's using some real events and some real people, whatever the percentages are, I don't really care, to express only prophecy. What if it's talking about only prophecy? Let's consider that for a moment. If the angels carry through with their promise of removing all of the major bodies of water, so much so and so efficiently that it stops raining, okay? And there won't be a cloud in the sky, and yes, I can show you that directly in the text from the most confirmed, most original texts, that it definitely is claiming that. If you can grant me that, can you imagine that the crust would overheat, that the tectonic plate shifts, everything trying to equalize in the plastic zone, would cause immense uplift of what was the ocean floor, all of it trying to level out, right? Because you just removed so much weight from the planet. And then the crust, never mind that many of the crustal plates just cracked, but also that there's no temperature regulation of the crust anymore, and now you can transfer the heat in the plastic zone directly up to the crust. There's nothing to stop that. In which case, you would have a melting of the crust, i.e. a lake of fire. This whole planet would become magma. Now, in conditions like that, do you suppose that the island of Tyre would be no more?
Well, if everything's a lake of magma, yeah.
It would be a flat rock when it cools off, right? It would be smooth, which is what the book reads. Okay, so if it's prophetic, all of it can be true, including the hailfire raining down on Sodom and Gomorrah in Egypt, and I mean the absolute wasteland, promising to Adam that no longer will it produce food for you, but only thorns and thistles. Yes. You can't live there. Or expressions like, and the seat of the beast, which it's claimed that the earth is the seat of the beast, that the seat of the beast, the smoke rose up forever and ever. If the oceans were removed off this, in your estimation, how many thousands or even tens of thousands or millions of years would it take for it to re-solidify, for the core to cool down that much? Or maybe millions of years, I don't even know.
Well, if you just snapped your fingers and all of the water vanished from the surface of the earth,
right?
I don't think that the surface would liquefy.
Okay.
Because I think that the reason it doesn't is because the outgoing the radiative loss from black body energy, which depends primarily on surface area and temperature, and to some extent on the material, but between rock and water, it's fairly comparable. I think you would have tectonic activity, because you're right. You would have a spring force. It would suddenly you'd have a lot of earthquakes and stuff, sort of like, and this is a thing that actually happens in some places where the water table has been so dramatically used up that it actually affects the altitude of the overlying
right. Not enough weight, and it had uplift. Yeah.
Exactly, and glacial rebound, for example. But
Yep.
I don't think you would have the crust liquefy, because it might heat up a tiny bit, but I don't even know that it would be measurable.
Okay,
But I'm not
well,
a
to be more specific, you wouldn't need it to be worldwide, actually.
Yeah,
Guys-
and I don't know
guys
what would
back-
happen in that case.
Guys backstage, P-Town and Patrick, I don't have room right now. You're welcome to hang out until someone drops out. If you like, you're welcome to sit back there, but I apologize, I only have room for 6.
I'm going to take off, Richard. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
Yo, Richard, I'm gonna make a spot for you real quick, brother. I'm gonna back out. It was good
All
talking
right,
to you.
thank you, talking. You
Bye-
didn't even
bye,
talk.
Talking
What do you mean?
Trees.
It was talking trees. You didn't even talk. What do you mean?
No, man. If you got dudes backstage, I'll go ahead and bounce so they can
I
come on
mean,
here.
literally everyone else is leaving. You got the other guy
Well,
who left.
there's only 4, and there's 2 backstage, which is 6.
All right, well then I'll stick around if you want. You want me to
Would
stick
you
around,
please?
Richard? All right,
I'd rather you did.
all right, fair enough.
No, this is Patrick. I'm not a crusty crap.
This is Patrick. Nobody be concerned.
But not the starfish.
What?
No,
What
no,
do you
no.
do?
That starfish. that's that Patrick.
P-Town, would you speak so I can relax, please?
Do I intimidate you, Richard?
Yeah.
Wow, you really misread that, but help yourself.
What the fuck?
Tapioca, you're the PhD, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
met a
he's
long
the
time
only
ago?
one in the whole planet.
You Christian yet?
No, I am not a Christian. I am an atheist.
What was
Still?
your PhD
No,
on?
it's too bad.
Physics. I am an experimental atomic physicist.
What was
Pretty
the
cool
stuff.
what was it
Postdoc.
called? What was
That's pretty hot.
The title of
What
my
was the
dissertation
paper?
was Implosions as a Probe for Fluctuations in Bose-Einstein Condensates, if that's the
Oh.
question you were asking.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I get that.
I mean,
Yeah.
You know what the problem with that is? So few of us here could probably even understand what that meant in real terms that you could have been bullshitting us.
I heard
Yeah, fair enough.
implosion.
You could have totally made that up and I wouldn't know the difference.
I mean, basically, we cool down atoms to like their quantum ground state and levitate them with magnetic fields and lasers, and then you can change the interactions between them from being normal and sort of repulsive, kind of like if two atoms got too close together, they would kind of bounce off each other.
Right.
You can change that interaction such that it's attractive and they all suck towards each other. And if you do that really fast, then the entire cloud of atoms will implode.
Into
That
what?
sounds awesome. That is
Into well, eventually they pair off and physics becomes chemistry, ultra cold chemistry. But while they're doing that, the areas of high density suck more and more atoms in, and the
Yeah.
areas of low density do that slower. So the
Right.
fluctuations that exist on that cloud of atoms will be
Yeah.
magnified as you watch that implode.
Wait, does that
implosion
create
across the
patterns?
It creates it actually, yeah, it does create some types of patterns. Mostly it's statistical. So like from shot to
Well, that's
shot,
no
it's
fun.
going to be yeah.
I was
But
hoping for
there
some
is-
kind of crystalline structures in very cold hydrogen or something.
Yeah.
That'd be so
Well,
cool.
Yeah. Well, if you want that you can get something like that in it's called a Coulomb crystal. If you use ions instead of neutral atoms, then
Okay.
you'll get sort of a balancing between the repulsion between neighboring ions, but they're also all being trapped, and they arrange themselves into a crystal. It's pretty cool.
What's the biggest scale you guys do this at?
Well, excellent question. So I'm currently a postdoc on an experiment that's designing an experiment to do atom interferometry over a 100-meter baseline. So the idea is to try and split an atom into a superposition of one place and another place, and then
Okay.
stretch that up to possibly 100 meters. So you would have a quantum system that is 100 meters inside.
long.
Yeah. So far, the record so far is in the lab that my boss did his PhD in.
What was it, like 10 feet or something?
It was like half a meter.
Half a meter.
But they do that in a tower that's 10 meters. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, I have a quick question. It may not be relevant, but does entanglement fall into it at all? Quantum entanglement?
Yes, mostly no. Mostly no, but if sometimes yes. I don't understand entanglement that well personally.
All right, then never mind. I retract my question. Stick to what
so
you know,
how
I
fast-
guess.
How fast does information travel throughout the universe?
Speed of light.
Well, I disagree in that way.
Well,
assuming what you think it is, with the speed of light being the constancy. So the speed of light, the way I understand the constancy is the perturbation of light, which is the illumination through space itself, through the electromagnetic field. It's like the travel of the wave through the ocean, rather than the actual speed of information being instantaneous. The information exists instantaneously throughout the universe at once.
If you can show that, then you
with
will
no
win a Nobel
localized
Prize.
spot. No, I don't think you.
But how do you show that?
In that way?
I don't know how you show transportation
Well, I was just
of
saying
information
in that way.
I mean, are you a physicist?
Well, that's quantum entanglement. That's exactly what he's asking about.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna leave, gentlemen. I'm gonna leave the atheist in charge because I trust him getting least emotional. Oh, the atheist, the only doctor in the world. He's going to be in charge. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette. You guys enjoy yourselves.
How do you know I'm not a doctor? How do you know I don't have any PhDs in my house? I'm kidding.
Because you're a narcissist and you would have bragged about it.
Well, that's fair. I love Richard.
A narcissist would have made up a PhD.
For information to travel via entanglement, you would have to make a measurement, and then the person making the complementary measurement would have to somehow know before they measured it what their measurement is going to come out. That is, as far as we can tell, not possible.
The whole principle of entanglement, though, is that there's two points in space connected instantaneously.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean the information
on any attribute. Well, no, that's just what information is. Just any attribute, just any information. They're connected.
Oh, well, okay.
So if they're connected by anything, I'm just talking about thing. If there's anything connected, I don't know what scientists call it. I don't know. I mean, I don't have an opinion about it in that way. I'm just asking about because he asked about your opinion of quantum entanglement. So it's if there is information
it's sort of like,
connected.
If you move a laser pointer, across the moon, for example, you can have a pattern, for example, move faster than the speed of light. But there's no way for one person on the first side of the moon to be able to communicate a message to somebody on the other side of the moon faster than a photon would travel on a direct path through a vacuum.
Yeah, you're right. Inside of the universe, there's no way for me to communicate to you faster than the speed of light, as we'd say with the constancy.
And
because we are in the ocean.
That's what physicists mean by information.
Well,
that's what physicists mean by information, though. If you want to make a statement about
well, because
realism,
realism
is not ruled out.
No, I'm saying
local
because you
realism
said
is.
No, wait, hear me out for a second, because I'm saying you described me and you communicating, me sending a photon to you, but what we're talking about is what is actually happening in the universe, the actual information of the universe, not our perspective observation of it. If we're talking quantum entanglement, I mean, I don't even. That's just where the conversation started, was with this guy. He asked about quantum entanglement.
No,
so if it's quantum entangled, if it's entangled, that implies that it's like one long rope, simultaneously connected, that is always responsive. And we just see it. We see it.
The state does change instantaneously. That's not what physicists mean by information, though. So I don't think you and I
What? Wait.
actually disagree on
What
sort
do you
of
mean
the
by the
ontology of what's
state?
going on.
What do you
But
mean by this?
the state changes instantaneously, but the quantum state. Entanglement is all about quantum states.
Okay.
You can't talk about entanglement without talking about quantum states. It doesn't.
Sure, I'm listening.
Yeah. So, you can have knowledge about what the measurement on the other side of the planet will be before the other person gets it, but they can't. You can't actually transmit
Right.
the information faster.
By the way, you're cutting out.
Wait,
So you
the
know.
state might collapse simultaneously, but you don't know how it's going to.
No, but okay, so you're talking about, no, but the point is the state collapses. So if I'm over here, you're over there. My state, the state of our observation collapses instantaneously. I observe it as, A or whatever, or 1, let's say.
Uh-huh.
The information necessarily of communication to you isn't reached beyond the speed of light. You have to actually receive the communication of, look, it was 1. But
yes,
nonetheless,
exactly.
but the fact that what we're talking about is quantum entangled, whatever you want to call it, particles or whatever, information states, that is instantaneously collapsed from my end to yours. So it's the exact moment, but that's beyond space. That's beyond space and speed and stuff. It's if they're quantumly entangled, then if my state is A, your state is A. Even though you might not observe it yet because it hasn't fluctuated.
What you've just described is not a transmission of information, though, to a physicist.
No, I didn't say it was. I'm saying the information is being observed by me and by you at different states of being. And it's because the particle that I'm observing is collapsed at a certain state. The particle that you're observing, which is instantaneously linked to, or is all the time linked to it. That's what we're talking about, quantum entanglement.
Yeah, but information.
It's the point is the state of your particle has to be the exact same state as my particle, even if you're 10 billion light years away. If it's linked, the information doesn't actually travel. It's just the information is the information itself, and we only observe it.
Bro, I am aware of this.
All right, well, I'm just asking the questions and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm saying what you're describing isn't information. It's not information in physics. Information in physics is about the transmission of messages between two parties.
No, I don't think that's true at all. That's not true. I don't think that's true.
Well,
do I need to communicate with somebody to make information or something?
For it to be well defined in physics, yes, you do. It doesn't have any meaning outside of communication theory.
No, it's just information is just data itself. So it's like the sun doesn't need any human being to like mark it down as data in communication to declare it to be energy or something. That's just what it is. It's energy.
Okay, but that's not what a physicist means by information.
Information just means information. It doesn't mean communication.
That's not helpful. Yes, it
you're
does.
Talking about, no, you're talking about communication. No, information just means information. Like the gravitational constant. Is that communication between whatever?
No, and it's not information either.
What do you mean?
It's not information either, because information
the local acceleration constant of mass is not an information.
It's a fact. A piece of data is not the same thing as information in physics.
Okay. Okay.
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm sorry if
I said okay.
The way physicists, you keep on saying it's obviously information, and colloquially, like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But information has a specific meaning.
I don't mean colloquially. I just mean information means
then you're wrong.
You're saying information means communication between two observers. And I'm not saying that. Right? I'm just saying information means information.
I am saying
data.
That.
It's just data.
I am saying that.
It's just content in the universe.
Data and information are not synonyms. They're not.
Yeah, they pretty much are. It's just content in the universe.
Okay, colloquially they are, not in
physics. Are numbers information?
No, numbers are numbers.
I mean, I agree with that.
Is there
But if I
a
told you I
receiver
have
who's trying
10
to interpret a
apples,
Yeah, if you
I
tell me
wanted
you
to
have 10 apples,
communicate,
you communicated the information because
that's
you
right. You just said that
because you
communication, right?
communicated.
Right, you just said communication. That's what I said. I'm not saying that's the
No,
same as
no,
information. I'm saying I communicated to you the information that I have 10 apples.
and the
The
term
information
is
is I
only
have 10
valid there.
apples.
Listen,
The information is I have 10 apples. The communication is the ping message relation to you that you will know that I have 10 apples by hearing me.
The information.
It's a parcel of information. I don't think you understand communication that way.
Okay, well, go ahead, get a PhD in information theory, and then you can educate me.
I can see why I can see why Weasel's always so arrogant, because he talks to people that don't understand shit.
And the PhD doesn't really mean anything to me in that way.
While it is true, you may have an autodidact who takes it very, very seriously and tries their best to defeat their biases and learns of things in great depth.
I agree.
But it's unusual for them to be accurate because they have no peer group.
I would agree with that.
So, Patrick, what are your claims about information theory?
I didn't make any claims, bro. The friend asked a question about quantum entanglement. The other man answered, "Nothing travels faster than the speed of light."
I answered,
sure,
information doesn't.
But if you actually knew science, you'd know that information doesn't travel fast. Yeah, communication. What you mean is communication.
Yes, look,
literally, that's not the same thing as information.
Literally,
that's not
nobody
the same.
fucking knows. Literally, nobody fucking knows how how quantum entanglement works. Not even scientists.
It's a clear ontology distinction. It's just a clear distinction of being. He's talking about something traveling through space. I'm saying the information doesn't travel through. If we're talking about two quantumly entangled objects, they just have the same information.
You're talking about the quantum state.
Simultaneously, always. They don't change, or they might change all the time.
Information doesn't mean anything to a physicist in a context distinguished in a context apart from communication. Information theory is a branch of physics and of math. And it is entirely about the communication of messages. So, communication
but we're talking
and
about
information
instantaneous. We're talking about instantaneous.
Patrick,
change.
you have to let him finish his sentences.
You aren't. I understand that you don't agree with what I'm defining and what I am asserting that information means in physics, but all I'm gonna do is basically continue to assert that because I know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I think we can.
You said gravity is not information.
Because it's not.
Okay. Good luck, physicists.
Thank you, Hillary.
It's just very funny because gravity is the direct communication between two massful objects. Like, just saying it's not information. It's acceleration defined on all things in existence. That's not information. What do you consider information? Is it
wait,
bytes?
Slow down a little bit, Patrick. Why did you say that gravity is... What was the word exactly that you used?
I used a lot of words.
No, in reference to gravity, you said gravity is... You gave a definition for gravity, and it was something like gravity is acceleration. Is that what you said?
Well, that's what it is.
Gravity is acceleration. So things at rest in a static state have no weight? Do things at rest have weight?
What?
In a gravity well, let's say I have a window sill on a high-rise building, and I put a 1-pound ball with a little flat so it won't roll off. Put a 1-pound steel ball on top of that, on that windowsill, and the building's holding it up. If gravity is only acceleration, as soon as I set it there, it has no weight. If it's only acceleration. Does that make sense to you?
No, doesn't make any sense.
Do you get my example?
Gravity
that
is the acceleration. No, gravity is the acceleration
Your
acting on the
example
ball.
is you make a good point, Richard. For the record,
I think I know what you're trying to say, but it's gravity is the acceleration acting on that ball and on all things on that building, which is causing the weight.
It's not.
It's weight. Weight is literally mass times acceleration, which is I mean, it's. I understand you want to say it's a force or whatever, but force is just mass times acceleration. It's the force of gravity is determined upon the masses. That's why I said it's a communication between massful objects. That's what I said.
Is it fair to say?
If you look up the equation of gravity, it's between two massful objects, obviously. So
yeah, it the
and
pull?
Guess what? That propagates at the speed of light. For the record,
I understand that it propagates through space and time, or whatever you want to call it, at the speed of light. That's what I said. It's like waves in an ocean. You can't change the ocean. The waves are going to move at this, however it's protrude. If you drop a nuclear bomb in the ocean, it's going to make a big wave. If you drop a pen needle, it's going to make a very tiny wave.
You meant perturb, right?
Yeah, sure, perturb. Yeah.
Okay.
Perturbations. It's a perturbation. It's the fields, and so all things are those perturbations of those fields. But my point is it's the gravity itself is acting instant. It's an instantaneous relationship, which occurs in our own observation through the actual communication of these two massful objects, and that is what we observe as the speed of light. It's literally it's scientists. I mean, they understand you can't. The speed of light isn't the speed limit. No, I'm saying the speed of light is not. It's not this thing where it's the speed of light is the speed limit on everything. That's the actual fabric of reality where it's like if you paddled the waves in the ocean. It's the waves will move at a certain accordance, but the waves in this case are,
Give me something so I know it's you, Will Freeman.
Itself.
All right, bro. Thanks. You can turn your camera back off. I only have room for 6 and it's full.
I can leave. I just wanted to pop in.
No. Well, then say hey.
No,
that's
who
cool.
else? Who else is backstage?
Sammy. Well, not anymore. He left.
Oh, come on. I wanted Will instead of Sammy.
Okay, Patrick, I really don't know you well enough to know if you've thoroughly studied these things you're espousing now, and you're just saying it in a hard to understand way. That's possible, or if you haven't really studied it, and it's just like a Dunning-Kruger thing that's going on here. But I think universally, more than just myself, other people have expressed they're having trouble confirming or understanding what you're saying. Perhaps you would slow down a little bit and use more detail.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you want me to answer. I mean, we got one guy who's supposedly a PhD in physics and stuff. He's like Mr. Physics. I don't know what you've studied. I mean, Mr. Richard, but you're talking a lot about very highly complex astrophysics and things, and you.
Well, I thought it was interesting when Dr. Tapioca Weasel here.
It's just if I say gravity is acceleration. If I say gravity is acceleration, you don't understand that. It's like
because it's not.
That's
could I say it?
You can,
Patrick, you don't get to just talk over people. This is not your channel. Can you slow down a little bit, please?
It's funny because
could you pause? Could you pause now? Like right now. Thank you. So, what acceleration is gravity, right, versus resistance between the two objects, one pulling one object toward the other. Okay? That's acceleration.
You said acceleration is gravity. That's what you said.
Okay, well, we're going to move on with the conversation. You have a great day, sir.
Wow.
If I would, can I try and steel man the position I think he was trying to give?
Sure.
So his point, and it's a fair one, is about entanglement. It is true that if you have an entangled system, then if you have two particles that are entangled, and you measure one of them is spin up over here, then you know before measuring it that the other one, when you measure it, will be spin down, for example. You're going to have one
Okay.
up and one down. I'm going to turn on my camera because I always do it this one way. So you have entangled atoms, and they could be like this, but they could also be like this. But
Right.
they're always going to be opposite of each other. And then you
Right.
bring them apart, and you measure this one, and you get up. You know this one is going to be down. But the person in the lab across the planet or across the solar system does not know that it is going to be down. Even though your measurement determines it, it changes the reality of that quantum state. It does change that instantaneously.
Okay.
But information is about the communication of a message in physics. That is what it is about.
So I do have a
no, Midnight. Just wait. I'm sorry. I love you, but just wait.
So when he is stating that information is just information, it's so obvious. I don't know how you don't understand it, Tapioca. He's referring to sort of, I believe, the properties of that state. The fact that as soon as you make a measurement, because before it's indeterminate, and then you make a measurement and it's determined.
Yeah.
But because you cannot pass information between entangled particles because you know what the other guy's going to measure, but you can't control what they measure. So you can't send a message via entanglement.
Yeah, Harple Blues happens to be a personal friend of mine and my favorite arguing partner, actually. We've been arguing for years. Great guy.
But yeah, so that was my attempt to sort of steel man what I think Patrick was trying to get at there.
Okay, can I okay, go ahead, Richard.
Floor's yours, bro. Go ahead.
All right. What do you think of the Nobel Prize being awarded to three physicists who proved the universe isn't locally real? Yeah, they finally proved entanglement. I don't know whether it's the same topic.
Yeah,
but
yeah. It totally is. I only remember so I remember one of them because I've met him, Alan Aspey. I've met actually, and he gave a talk about this about Bell measurement. So John Bell was the guy who sort of came up with the proof that entanglement is actually distinguishable from.
Yeah, I actually read an article
from
about
what you would
that,
think.
But yeah,
and they so Alan Aspey did the first sort of measurements of this, I think in the 60s, and was awarded the prize last October. And has continued to do more and more and more thorough and precise measurements. It's very interesting. It's the weirdest part of quantum mechanics is this whole entanglement thing, because it's very unintuitive and strange, and like Einstein was like having none of it, and it turned out that he was wrong. So
well, the great Einstein's actually wrong about something. Say it.
He wasn't wrong about a lot.
I know. That's like the one thing I'm still trying to understand, because it is. You're right. It's insane. What does it mean that it's not locally real? Like I'm looking around, and everything around me is like you know what I mean? It's here. I can feel it.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
kind of fucked up when you think about it. Many people just can't really wrap their heads around it. So it's like, no, it can't be true. And I'm like, Okay, well, it could be, it could be true that I'm just a hologram or whatever the fuck, but who cares? Right, I'm still gonna eat.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to answer Titan's question. If I balance my chakras, can I create a spiritual vortex to a higher vibrational plane in which
Fuck you!
information can be passed at
Okay.
faster than the speed of light?
Fuck you! I know what he's doing. Okay, I know what he's doing. All right, I fucking hate Tupac Chakra. or
Rage,
people that fucking
Rage, give me some cameras so I can let you on, brother.
Well, okay, I'm raging now because I'm sick and tired of
All right.
people using.
You can turn it back off if you
mechanics
want.
For wool.
And
Jesus Christ!
the answer is you need to bring your chakras into a cohabitative resonance with the different vibrational planes and the rho vibrational spectrum of your quantum system. That's what you gotta
Great
do.
bullshit.
That's a lot
That
of
was
bull-
beautiful
Yeah.
bullshit.
Also, what happened? We lost Sammy. For whatever
Well,
reason.
Sammy's connection is not always great. Love to have him back, but
I see how it is, Sammy. I come in, you leave.
Yeah, right. That's what I've noticed. It's like, what the fuck, man?
that might be a
By the
false
way-
correlation. I'm just saying
I
it
know,
could
I
be
know.
fallacious.
By the way, Rage. Oh, that dumpster fire you had yesterday was simultaneously a fucking headache, but
It was
I was
phenomenal.
falling asleep. I was falling asleep while listening. Like what the fuck?
I thought I was gonna fall asleep at the computer. I'm like, I have to stop this now. It's been too crazy for too long.
Does anyone here not know Rage?
Well, I'm pretty sure P-Town doesn't.
No,
P-Town,
me-
do you know Rage?
Me and P-Town
Yeah.
have talked.
What about
Oh, never mind
Tapioca?
then.
Do you know? You guys know each other? I just want to introduce you. Both-
I don't think we've met actually. Have we? I'm aware of you, but we
I
might
don't
have been
think-
on some streams. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, we could have been. I've been in so many. I'm not sure either.
Boy.
But yeah, very
Yeah.
nice to meet you. P-Town, I'm really sorry you didn't get a chance to speak. You'd have probably spoken some logic compared to what we were getting.
Oh, I was just bringing in the dumpster fire emoji. So I was in bed and I didn't even want to talk anyway. I just thought I could shine some light on it.
Yeah, usually I have a dumpster fire emoji, but yeah. So yeah, I saw that you were streaming Richard, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do any fucking rooms tonight or nothing, but I'm like, Richard's streaming, we'll be all right.
I appreciate you dropping in. Have you heard any of the conversation, or did you just get here?
I just got here. I was watching Sopranos, and I'm like, wait a minute, I saw a notification for Richard, so let me go check out what's going on. So yeah, y'all talk, and I'll catch up.
All right, cool. Okay, so the overall assertion here, Tapioca, by Patrick, which I think you've done a good job of explaining away that can't be the case, that there's not communication going on.
Yeah.
So
And I just want to draw a line under this. In physics, as I understand it, information is intrinsically related to communication. It's about being able to have a message from one person be understood by another person.
let me go over that real quick for the people who don't have my freakish interests. Okay, so there's data, okay? And what data is any small point, like some of my background is a certain shade of red. What shade of red is a specific data point, and that there's red there, which is actually two different data points, right? So when we talk about data, we're talking about things so specific and so small of points, and they're static, they're true, they exist in reality, and that's all fine. But it doesn't communicate a thing. Like you could never get from data points to this is a painting of spheres. You can't get there, okay? But then there's data complexity or Shannon information. Now, when Shannon says information, that's colloquial. It doesn't mean it's communicating anything aside from the complexity of it. And in the way that it is complex and the judgment thereof, that is what's communicated is the complexity. Shannon information does not judge the information in the data. It doesn't do that. But then there's what we colloquially call information or communication, where necessarily two intellects with a shared code can translate ideas, like this sentence, and you heard it, and you know what I mean. Go on.
Yeah. So I don't. In physics, it's not clear that there needs to be intellects. It's more about correlations between. It becomes difficult to describe. So to like, you can think of DNA to some extent. Like, DNA is I think, at least in my view, it's a way of preserving a certain pattern or state of affairs, or it's a way of preserving data in a certain way such that at a later time and place that data can be reconstructed. Information is about the reconstruction of a particular pattern of data. And if for information to transfer, that means that you have a particular set of data, a pattern of data, and you need to then communicate to this other system over there that same pattern. This can be through DNA replication. It can be through a photon traveling and saying, I'm a photon and now I'm over here. It can be through gravity. All of those things, in order for location and time B to be able to reconstruct a given message at location and time A, you can't do that faster than the speed of light. That is what I mean by information cannot travel faster than light.
Interesting.
Does anyone need a translator for that? Is everybody good?
I got two questions, maybe.
Yeah, go ahead with yours, because mine's probably. I don't have a question.
So mine are so what, and who cares?
I would say so what, because it's interesting and it's fascinating, and once you learn about it, you can better understand the world around you. And who cares? I do. There you go. Go on, Weasel.
Tapioca. Tell me.
I could not have said it better myself. So what? Because it's awesome, and who cares? I do.
Well,
hey, I got a joke. I got a joke for you guys. Hold on.
Was going to be the dumb one.
I got a joke for you guys. Do any of you guys? Hold on. Any of you guys know the difference between ignorance and indifference? I don't know, and I don't care. There you go.
Hey, you guys don't understand. Those were some very scientific, insightful questions. Just, sugarcoated a little bit. Honestly.
Well, I was going to ask,
questions.
Is it a true, impossibility for data to travel faster than the speed of light, or, is it going to be a truth until the moment we observe data travel faster than the speed of light?
I mean, I think maybe Weasel will agree.
I thought that was going to be the dumb question, but P-Town.
No, that's a pretty good question. Yeah,
no, that's a great question.
Well, that is a good question.
It's a very good question.
So that's the difference between Rage. That's the difference between a truth and a fact. Everything that we hold tentative right now is a fact until it's disproven, and then there's a new fact, and that new fact will be bringing us closer to the truth. But we shouldn't even claim truth right now. We should claim what we observe and the way that we understand it at this moment, and that's all that science claims. Never anything more than that.
In my opinion, the TLDR answer is, I think the jury is still out. I think that it is premature to assume that we will never be able to transmit information faster than light. I also think that under our current paradigms, there is no way for it to happen. Wormholes are technically allowed under current paradigms, but wormholes, what they do is they change the length that you need to go. They don't actually change how fast you can travel. But
Right.
I'm not convinced that the answer to your question is no, it is impossible. I don't know how
It's
you
both.
prove that.
The answer is both.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of where I would fall, I think. So, I don't know. Like,
but what does it mean to go faster than the speed of light? I mean, it's very concept. It just seems.
When it was said, my thoughts, because I like to read, and I read a lot of fantasy. I read a lot of fiction, and even though he's a horrible person, Orson Scott Card kind of
one of my favorite authors. It's so painful.
He kind of hits on this with Ender's Game. Me too. I have the same issue, right? Like, but in
I don't
Ender's
know who
Game,
that is.
hits
Know
on
the
this.
issues, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, Ender's Game,
incredibly awesome sci-fi writer.
Yeah, Ender's Game is a great story, but they have I believe it's called like the Ansible system, and it's like this technology they pick up from an alien creature. So like
from the Formics,
if we get like this, if we come across some form of advanced technology or our technology advances to the point, I can see it happening. But no, I totally understand what you're saying, and that was just like where my thought went, was like, well, it's impossible to us now until we've either prove it's not impossible, or until we're introduced to some new form of technology that would show us it's not impossible. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Well, okay. I think to say that nothing can go faster than the speed of light is kind of maybe a misnomer. Probably the wrong word. But just matter can't go faster than the speed of light, which the speed of light is.
Yeah,
actually
as a layman looking at it.
Light is not matter.
Yeah, no, right? I know. I was getting to that, but
Okay, sorry.
That's fine.
But yeah, I would totally agree.
The interruptions.
By what we know, like, yeah, I mean, from what we know and what we can observe in reality, like, yeah, I think it would be far-fetched to think that data could go faster than the speed of light until we actually observe it, right?
Yeah, my thought is for information to travel faster than light means this: it is possible to make a measurement, the outcome of which is previously completely undetermined, and then communicate intentionally that. Hold on, let me start over. You need to take a particular thing which a priori could be a different way, and then you choose which way it is. For example, you say, okay, I'm going to choose to send the letter A, or I'm going to choose to send the letter B. One of those two things, and I'm going to choose it. And the person I'm sending it to is 1 light minute away. If you can somehow send them a radio message along the shortest available path saying which one you chose, A or B, and if you can devise a system such that before they get that message, they always select the correct option, then you have transmitted information faster than light. That is impossible under the current known paradigms of physics.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I'm not like anything to agree with. So, but just
I
from
think I can describe why. I think I can describe why. Every bit of information has to be recorded in some kind of a physical way and transmitted some kind of a physical way. So actually you need a physical thing to go faster than light, and thus the problem.
Yes. Exactly. As far as we are unaware of any physical phenomena that directly propagate through faster than the speed of light. And again, I wanna give the example of shining a spotlight across the moon. Because if you just twist your hand and you have a crazy powerful laser pointer, such that everybody can see it on the moon, you could swing your hand fast enough that the bright spot on the moon travels across the moon faster than the speed of light, because it's so far away and you can twist your hand really fast. Okay? You would only have to get it to go across the moon like faster than maybe 10 milliseconds or something. And if you move your hand real fast, you're going to be able to pull that off because you can change the angle of that light beam really fast. So that pattern of that bright spot moving across the moon, that is moving faster than the speed of light. It's a pattern.
Well, you want to know,
but it's not a direct thing. There's no way to use that to communicate information that originated from one side of the moon to the other side of the moon.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me think about that all day.
Yes, but another like an fascinating thing is that is that light. Once light passes through a medium, it slows down. Like now in space there's a vacuum, so the light goes 300 million miles a second. Now, because of the Earth's atmosphere, light, the speed of light slows down. It doesn't slow down by much, but the mere fact that that light slows down on Earth allows us to see everything around us. Am I talking crazy, Weasel, or is that right? Because I don't remember reading that. You don't remember reading it.
Can you say it again? I was writing a thing for the last two sentences you said. I think. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you say it again?
Okay. As far as I remember, light light slows down when it goes through a medium.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. Now the reason why we're able to see and experience life on Earth is because due to the atmosphere, due to the medium that surrounds us, light slows down. Not significantly, mind you, but just enough, just enough for us to experience the world around us. That is amazing when you think about it.
That is, no. That if there was no atmosphere, none of that would change. Our perception of reality would not change. It's
here's an example of that.
The
midnight.
reason that light does that is because it sort of sorry, Richard, is because the light sort of, when it hits an atom, it starts shaking its electron. I'm going to turn on my thing because I'm moving my hands like crazy now. It starts shaking its electron, and when it shakes the electron, that electron sort of creates a small field in a different direction maybe than the light, and so it kind of acts to make the front of the wave a little bit slower and the back of the a little bit like smaller, and the back of the wave a little bit bigger, because it always lags a little bit because the electron has mass. And that is why light sort of slows down when it goes through materials to some level of not irresponsible approximation. And so yeah, but if that wasn't happening, human perception of light is not determined by the difference of how fast light is moving compared to the thing, because if that were the case, for example, then you could imagine if you went up to a really high mountain where there's less atmosphere for it to go through, that you might reliably experience time differently. And like, you will if you go high enough, but that's because you're dying.
That's not a good approximation of reckoning time.
And I have to say, now that I see you, we have been on stream together. We were on MathPick stream together.
Okay, yeah.
And I need to apologize to P-Town. I just came in denigrating the theist I know, and that's old raging atheist. Old habits die hard. I apologize, P-Town. I shouldn't have talked this shit. I was playing, but I shouldn't have. So I apologize.
Oh, how my questions were stupid?
Yeah. I shouldn't come in denigrating you for no reason. Last night was stressful.
To be fair, his question was, why should I care about what you got a PhD in? And like, I got a little defensive.
I'd like to actually answer to that. I mean, isn't it true that the worse adjusted people are to reality, the more mistakes that they make, and the more that affects society in negative ways, while the opposite is also true? The more truth that people accept, the more success they have, the better it is for society, including things like how you get gasoline.
reason why I asked those questions actually is, so what did I say? I said, so what and who cares? Well, sometimes there's an actual application. Like in this particular case, we don't have the technology to do what we're, just talking about. But there are some things relative to this topic that are used in technology that we now use today. For example, GPS systems, being able to measure, they actually use the difference in the speed of light in quantum clocks in different elevations of the Earth and how the Earth's gravity actually applies to those quantum clocks.
Yes.
Relax, relax. Let him finish. Let him finish.
I say so what and who cares, when I say so what and who cares, I'm actually saying, maybe there is an application and who uses the application, but I'm just sugarcoating it.
And the answer is one of my PhD advisors, Jun Yi, at the University of Colorado at Boulder, has an optical lattice clock with strontium, which is
that's one of the two that are in. Those are one of the two that are that there are. There's another one in I think England.
Yeah.
And if you notice the two, they're identical, but because of the different elevations, they're very slightly. Their calculation of time is like you can't fathom how slightly off they are, but it's relative to people having crazy discussions like this. That's why Tapioca is shocked about the intelligence of P-Town. It's a cool topic.
It's so cool, but it's better than that. They measured the difference because in their optical lattice they have a crystalline form of light by interfering the light waves in this way and in this way and in this way. And so they have exactly one atom at each little spot, and then they drive them all in sync. And they've gotten so good at it that the top layer of atoms experiences a different resonant frequency than the bottom layer of atoms.
Wow.
And these things are a human hair's width apart. You can see the difference between where they are, but like it's literally a human hair. And they can Physics is so cool. We can do so much cool stuff, you guys.
You just wait and see.
I love the passion.
The government. It's the government that will apply that, because it's making smart bombs a little bit more accurate, and so your GPS will one day be able to tell you, which door to walk through.
It can already do that, probably.
Right. But it'll get to a point where, the accuracy at which they can do that stuff. But ultimately, I think what that type of technology does is further authenticates that time is in some way a physical property.
That's a deep question. Most physicists, including myself, are not theoretical physicists.
And we lost Tapioca.
Yeah, that's like
he gave away the location to one of the two quantum clocks.
Working on the fundamental,
and then because of that, they shut down his internet. Yeah,
you have to repeat that.
We lost your Tapioca for a while. Okay, yeah.
You're
back now.
I know. I saw it because you all froze.
Hey, your internet.
Most physicists like myself are not physicists working at the fundamental sort of level of physics, like what is time. Most physicists, time is a parameter in their thing that works the same way you and I think it does.
What's time? It's
time's
T.
Actually one of those things.
Time is T. Damn it! What's wrong?
Exactly. It's T. It's fine, and you gotta just. Your big question is: at what point on this thing is T equal to 0, so I can understand what the hell's going on? And I don't mean like the universe. I mean like on a graph where time is the x-axis.
Well, I was getting into it with some atheists. Oh, sorry to overgeneralize, but I forget you guys are all atheists. We forget how much science has progressed, and a lot of the things that we're taught in school now, we assume they're common sense. Tapioca, last time we talked, you were one of the few people, one of the very few atheists, where I say the Bible talks about how the stars are intangible and how throughout time scientists would argue about this. and or I guess not intangible, sorry, innumerable, how they can't be counted. And I get thrown so many stupid arguments about how, oh no, they're not innumerable. We can count them. It's a quadrillion, or they'll just bash. Anyway, the point is that there's a lot of little things. I think that we forget that, like, another one is the idea of.
You lost me. You lost me. Hold on. You lost me at they're not innumerable. And you get a lot of flack for that. Go on.
Well, let me just throw a few things real quick because I want to touch upon them. Another one would be the science behind the Big Bang, right? And how if you draw it all back.
You finish what you were saying.
I'm going to throw a few at you though, real fast. Another one would be like the science behind the Big Bang, how you can reel it back, and there's kind of a singularity at some point in time where everything's stretched out. Okay, and another one would be just the simple fact that light travels at a speed is significant. See, we assume that that's the case, but the thought that it was instantaneous was probably predominant throughout time.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just trying to reflect on these were real things that not that long ago, relatively to how long humans have been on the Earth, which is about 6,000 years.
Hey, P-Town, did you hit those arguing with you with the opaque wall of the cosmic microwave background radiation and star closeness at a distance where we don't know how big this thing is?
I don't really go that far. I just keep it to the simple stuff. Because then you can also, if you look at the whatever background radiation, you can also, in a way, suppose that we are actually in the center of the universe, which would really throw them, because then they'll just get stuck on how we're in the center. How, oh look, he's one of those. Because there's a difference between being in the center of our galaxy and the center of the universe.
But observation, yeah, the center. We are in the middle of our observation. That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
But so far, it's just
it is as consistent with us not being in the center of the universe as it is with us being in the center of the universe, and one of those.
But even that's significant to acknowledge, in a way, because you would assume with our current scientific presumptions and models that something like that would point to us not being in the center of the universe. But it turns out so far,
well, no, not if those two are indistinguishable.
Right.
That doesn't. There is no.
I agree with you. I'm just.
And there.
I agree with you. The fact that they're not. I agree with you. The fact that they're not indistinguishable is my point. Is that's kind of it's worth mentioning.
You're right. I think on that particular matter, the CMB, I think that my understanding of it, and I feel like I could be missing some things here about the physics because it's not my field, is that would not be like sort of the difference between that would not be detectable. There have been things that have been between the two models, is what I meant in the previous sentence. There have been predictions or observations about astrophysical phenomena which have been proposed as being dispositive towards the idea of the Earth being the center of the universe. The one of which I am aware is gravitational redshift being in quantized shells. Or not gravitational, just the redshift of distant galaxies being in quantized shells. There were some initial indications in some of the early measurements in the 70s and 80s where it really seemed like the data, which was fairly sparse, seemed to come in shells. It seemed to be that there was and there is no good explanation for that. That isn't kind of, oh, that's a coincidence. There isn't a good explanation for that on those scales. Okay, like it could be a coincidence.
For more on that, see Halton Chip Arp.
Well, let me ask you a question though. It's interesting.
But
So
hold on,
I like to go.
I want to say, give me 2 more sentences. As the years have gone on, those measurements have not been supported by later measurements, and there is no longer any convincing sign to anybody of a redshift, a quantized redshift, except for people who come with a pre-established agenda.
Right. Well, what I like to do is I like to take the Bible and I like to see how there's a lot of science that's foretold in it, although a lot of it can be, presumed to be in a artistic way, and people can say, oh, well, God just got lucky, or you're just looking for it. Well, I think that it's pretty cool. But one of the things is, Bible talks about how since the beginning of creation, the stars sing, and sing to us. Is that in a way? I know this one's a big stretch. There's a lot of not ones are stretch, but
I
is
think
that
I know where you're going
similar?
with it, and I'm actually on board.
Right?
To
Thank
gravitational
you.
waves.
I ain't.
Is it similar to gravitational waves? Is that where you were going with it?
Well, I wanted to ask you because because I don't have time to be the scientist. You're the
I just gotta say,
scientist.
stars can't sing.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that I have literally always described when I'm trying to get people excited and into the fucking like science of the universe and of gravitational waves, because that detector that I'm working on my postdoc is using atoms that are quantum mechanically stretched over tens of meters in order to measure the passage of gravitational waves. That's what we're trying to do with it. And it's amazing because we now can watch time and space wiggle, and I always describe it as we can listen to the music of the cosmos now.
That's deep, man.
It's uncanny how many.
But it's also an allegory, though, and it's not. It's
an applicable allegory. An applicable allegory.
No, but singing is singing. What Tapioca Weasel just described is what he just described. They're two separate things.
Yeah, you're right.
But singing still uses Never mind. Go ahead.
Waves.
It's still short pause. Actually, you can take it much more literal than Tapioca just did, because there are radio waves, and when we receive radio waves, we can feed that and make speakers. The speakers will make noise because of radio waves, which is just radio technology. Like
it's precisely where we got the background radiation, the whole discovery. It's the rage. It's the white noise on the TV, right? They thought it was crow poop or something, Tapioca, when they discovered this.
Yeah, actually, pigeon. Like that.
It was pigeon.
They were playing around with literally
it's a complex and
radios.
Interesting story with a bunch of different parties involved.
Sorry for cutting you off, Rich. I didn't mean to.
It's okay. I don't think you're being rude on purpose. And that's the intent is everything.
I mean, he's let me stay on the stream this long, and I cut people off all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm saying is literally you can take a quasar, you could point a radio telescope at a certain quasar, and you can listen to it go.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's.
Okay, I think. Well, no, I just want to say one quick. I know string theory has its issues, hasn't been shown to be true, and it might never be. But to me, it just makes sense. It just makes sense that at the core of reality. At the core of reality, the strings are the fundamental building block, right? Because string theory posits that that everything around us is just strings vibrating at different frequencies, right? Like it. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking nuts.
I haven't learned much more about string theory since I read Lee Smolin's book, The Trouble with Physics, before I went to college. It's not a field I know a ton about. But
well, I mean, there are books. There are books out
scientists,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Physicists are very fond of trying to basically. We don't compare everything to wiggling strings. We compare everything to masses on springs. So it rhymes. So there's that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the string thing. I'm not saying you're wrong, man. I didn't delve too deep into it, but I've studied string theory for a couple debates that I've done. I know, like, Leo Philius says string theory is like garbage science, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
well,
I think there's something to it.
He says it's not science, and
it does come down to like vibrations at the minute level. And the thing I like about string theory is, we'll never know the truth of it in our lifetime, probably not in several lifetimes before, but it implies a multiverse, and so it kind of breaks apart the
not just
theist
that.
Abrahamic religion.
Well, I mean,
a lot
not
of people
just...
think quantum mechanics implies a multiverse.
Yeah, exactly. I was just getting that. The Copenhagen interpretation, many worlds interpretation.
This one. So I haven't read this yet.
The emergent multiverse. Oh, I want that book. Give me.
This is a book. This is apparently the book to go to if you want to understand the multiverse interpretation according to Everett, the guy who, it's also called the Everett interpretation, the PhD student who sort of like made it as a dissertation, and it's been developed pretty well. And like I looked for like what should I read if I'm a physicist and I want to read this, and I found this. And this isn't the philosophy of science, and it's this thick, so they wrote it for as general an audience as they could. Because you're not going to get there with only physicists in your target audience.
So wait, hold on. The emergent multiverse. Like, I really gotta buy that book, and I'm sure
by David Wallace. I'm
sure Knock is ordering his copy as we speak.
Yeah, I definitely wrote it down. I love to learn, and I want to know as much as I can. As layman as I am, I want to learn.
Okay, it doesn't matter if you're a layman. That thing, as long as you can understand it well enough.
Well, I know, but like in regards of this online community, I'm more of a a theological moralist, right? Like that's what I focus on. Like the science thing, I'm learning.
Yeah, I know so much less philosophy than I would like to. It's like the distillation of like just thinking for the sake of thinking, which I'm pretty into.
Okay, holy shit, this costs a lot. $41. Like, I want to buy this. I want to use my sister's gift, like a gift card, but it's only $25, and the book is like $40.
There's that smart people tax, yo. Like smart people books always cost more money.
I mean. Oh, also, interesting.
Unless you get them from Dr. Joshua Bowen, who I know. I don't know if people have his books, but I have all 3 of Dr. Joshua Bowen's books that aren't his book on Sumerian, and yeah, you can read them for a wonderful lesson
In Search of the Multiverse, Parallel Worlds, Hidden Dimensions, and the Ultimate Quest for the Frontiers of Reality by John Gribben. That's another interesting one that I came across. Something Deeply Hidden. There's a lot of good stuff. Okay, I guess Observer.
Okay, you can't read the list of every book that's on that site, bro.
Sorry, Richard.
I'm telling you,
just passionate as Fapioco.
It's been my experience, and I talk a lot of shit about theology and religious texts, but like when it comes to science and the things that we're finding out, sometimes I find it more fantastical, more wondrous than the most brilliant creative mind of humanity can come up with. Like what we're learning about the universe.
I agree. I agree 100%. Like to me, the fact that we're stardust, literally, is more. Like it makes us more special than be like, oh hey, you know what? God, God created Adam and Eve as a special creation, but we fucked it up. But he still loves us. I just fuck you with that shit.
Yeah, and if you think about it, science goes beyond that. Like we're connected to Adam and Eve. Screw that. We're connected to the Big Bang. And
everything.
Yeah. I just love I love the idea of it. And yes, heresy, but That's the least of my heresies, P-Town. I guarantee.
I want to tell you guys. I want to tell you guys a good joke I heard from one of my supervisors actually years ago. He says to me one day, he said, "Richard, as time goes on, the population of the Earth just grows and grows and grows." I said, "Yeah, Mike." He says, "I wonder how much heavier it is." Like women produce children out of magic or something. Like they're not getting the materials off the planet.
I mean, matter just changes form, right? So when you eat something, you convert that to energy, which is converted back into atom.
Are you guys saying the stork doesn't bring the babies?
No.
Well, yeah, but stork gets them from the planet,
Like Richard, I know you can relate to this. Like we grew up with that shit. Like that was in TV commercials. Like the dill pickle. Remember the dill pickle commercials? Oh my fucking god!
It was not dill. It was Vlasic.
Yeah,
Vlasic pickle.
Yeah, Vlasic. Yeah.
All I remember them is that they've got like the crispy snap thing, right? That's all I remember from Vlasic.
Yeah, but the reason that the character is right now a stork, which makes no sense, is because the stork was originally translated out of delivering babies, then it was delivering pickles, and now it eats the pickles. I know. It's a commercial. It doesn't have to make sense.
So if the next logical step is that stork is gonna get violent, and there's gonna be an awesome movie where the stork just goes around eating babies. I mean, that's a good movie idea right there. Stork eating babies.
It was in our Saturday morning cartoons. Like it was everywhere. Like I grew up. There was a period of my life.
How old are you?
I'm 45. There was a period when I was young where I actually thought storks brought the babies. Like I thought that for real.
What? Well, okay. Wow. Sit down.
I never thought that.
At least your mom.
I was like 7, right? I was 7, but I remember it. Like I remember it.
At least your mom didn't say the stork was going to take you away if you didn't.
No, she did. My grandma did for sure.
That's weird.
Tapioca, you hear these guys talk about how they love being stardust and all that silliness.
I mean, it's not silliness, but okay.
We don't say
how they all.
We don't say we love being stardust. We say we are all stardust.
Yeah. So I find it kind of uncanny that when you watch these documentaries or when you read the book, in the field that you're in, how often the words are very similar to the words used in the Bible. The fabric of space, for example. I can't remember all the examples, but it's almost just like purposefully trying to slap the Bible in the face.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't think. I think the reason that happens is.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I know. The first half, yes. Your conclusion, no. And I'm saddened to hear it. But I believe the reason it happens is because the influence, especially linguistically and culturally, of the Bible, like the King James Bible, the language in there is beautiful and transcendent. It speaks to you, right?
Right.
And if phrases like the fabric of if phrases like the fabric of space do come from that etymologically, which they might, I think that we're just following the lead of the language. We're not trying to make a slap in the face. And when you look at the mathematical properties of it, there is a local connection and correlation. What happens to one part pulls on the other part right by it. That's what a fabric does. It's not what sand does. It's what an interlocking system does. Maybe a whole bunch of like.
I guess I'll go as far.
Well, Peter, I don't even think science does that though. Like you just gave the example of like stars singing, right? Like science actually says something completely different. You just correlate the two fucking different things and make them the same. Like you do that.
There is also bias.
Science doesn't do that. You do that.
I think you're both right,
point, Richard.
Yeah, I think they need to change it to the spandex of space. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if science we would be fine with that. Other than it's It's less classy.
Why not
it's
just
straight
call
up less
it
classy?
the garment or the fabric? Well, I guess it
Garment
is a fabric.
is a
Sorry,
thing
was
that you wear. Fabric is a material.
Yeah.
That's I don't think that's a weird one. Like, you gotta give us that one.
Well, anyway, so I guess it's where I really think it's just purposefully ignoring the simple truths that are in the Bible that were foretold before we discovered them, and then bashing on God and Christendom in the same when they're talking about something that we think that we're so smart and recently discovered, and then while bashing on Christians in a scientific textbook while still in the very same words. I think it's very and it's right under our noses, and it happens in the most popular science books.
So
all
my
the time.
my pushback would be if the Bible is inerrant and it's the biblical word of God, then we wouldn't still be discovering this shit, would we? Like, he would have described it accurately. It wouldn't be like some allegory of stars singing.
Yeah.
We'd be playing catch up to God if what you're saying is true.
There's a problem with that intrinsically, Rage. The believer in the Father, the believer in the Bible, has to admit logically that there's an intention of our suffering and that information is hidden, claiming that they have information they're not sharing. So they're purposefully allowing ignorance and suffering, and the Christian just has to bite the bullet on that.
Well, I
agree.
Bible,
Believe it or not, I kind of agree with Richard actually in that. I don't know why God did it that way, but maybe He just wanted you to stop being ignorant and just open your heart, Rage.
Either the Bible is inerrant and the infallible Word of God, or it's not. It's one of the two. I just side with the not.
But you side with the not and get defensive before you actually open your heart and listen. Like, you attack so quickly.
The Bible doesn't say what you say it says.
But you don't know that.
I do know that.
You
I've read it
assume
9
that.
fucking times. I've read it 9 times.
But see, Ray, just because you read it 9 times doesn't mean you understood it. I'm being facetious, obviously, but
I'm not a Christian, so I can't deliver that shit.
I know, I'm just being facetious because that's probably what they will say. Well, you read it 9 times. Well, clearly you didn't understand it.
I think it's evident. I hate to be rude, guys, but we need to start wrapping this up. I think it's evident that Christians don't have their prayers answered 100%. That Christians are not protected for some future date. They die in car accidents and stuff all the time. That they don't get everything that they asked for, prayed for in the name of Jesus. That don't happen either. Neither are they promised that they will carry the new name of God, that their heaven will be named after them. And these promises just aren't true. But if you look at the life of Christ, they are all true to the life of Christ, which means that those promises are for Christ, not for the casual reader. So I expect ignorance and failure of the Christian reader, being that they do not have the exact same brain and mind as would Christ. And unless the authorship is foolish, if they're writing a letter to a specific person, they wrote it for that brain.
Good night, everybody.
I get what you're saying, though, Ray. I get it. I mean,
I agree. The Bible was created by human brains. I agree. I agree 100%.
I think it can be objectively proven to be divine if you look at it and study it diligently.
Oh yeah. So you think people become super strong because they don't cut their hair?
You know what I did last night? I actually cut my own hair. It was pretty. My wife.
Why? If you truly believe in God and not cutting your hair, not shaving your beard is pleasant to the eyes of God, wouldn't you want to please the eyes of God? Like, what the? And how do you have both eyeballs?
Wait, only Samson. I thought the hair thing only applied to Samson, not everybody.
Wait.
Long hair and a long beard is pleasant to the eyes of God.
Here's the problem. The Christian is not reading it in Hebrew because they can't read Hebrew. And the Hebrew people would not understand the story of Samson the same way the Christians do. But if you think about it, I can give you one direct result, an evolution of language that is being referred to in the text, and you should recognize it. That guy is an ass. That's a common phrase we use today. But it used to be that guy brays like an ass. And before that, it was that man has the jawbone of an ass.
I mean, is it possible, Richard, that archaic people were just relaying their archaic culture and their very simple ideas of what we would call science? Is that a possibility as well?
It's always possible, but it's a lot more likely that you're not Jewish and living in the ancient Near East.
I totally agree with that, but I find it far more likely that people were just writing stories and that there wasn't a God involved.
That works quite well unless you find information that shouldn't be there.
There we go.
And I've never found any, is where I would come down.
I can show you two pieces right now very
science
easily.
Fiction writers have been writing about cloning well before we actually started cloning anything. Like
that's not the same thing.
Creativity works in human creativity is unequivocal. Like we can pretty much practically make up anything. And then usually what we make up will become reality.
How do you know? Hold on. How do you know that we can make up everything? What is the body of possible things that you're comparing it to? And if it wasn't
we can make up anything. We can make up anything from our worldly perspective. I'll put it that way.
That defeats the point that everyone else is, all the theists rather, not me, not Midnight, are trying to make. Not Midnight. Yeah.
I know.
I think I'm the only theist here. But I'm not.
No, Richard's definitely
Richard is a theist too. So,
don't get him started. Don't get him. Just let me be an atheist. It's okay.
Okay. That's.
I mean, aliens are far more logical than like God. So.
Yeah, right.
No, I get what you're saying.
They're more parsimonious.
What I'm saying is, I don't take away the possibility of God, but for people to place stock in this book like it's not human beings writing a book is just like. Dude, this is what human beings do ever since we figured out how to write books. We've written books. It's like it doesn't seem like such a mystery to me.
Not that many of us. Only a few. I've never written a book.
Yet.
I've written like 9 of them. I just haven't published them.
Well, go ahead. What are you waiting for? Become the next.
I don't. I've thought about this, Midnight. Like for me, writing isn't about like
I'll
publishing.
buy your book, Rage.
Well, it's not about publishing. For me, it's the act of doing it. Like one of these days, maybe I will.
So wait, hold on.
Well, no,
so you're saying that writing is.
Let me be honest with you.
You're saying that writing is literally masturbation.
Yeah, well, it's kind of, but if I'm honest, if I'm truly being honest, if I'm truly being honest, I tried, I failed, and then I didn't like the rejection, so I stopped trying. I just kept writing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
here's an idea.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Accept the rejection. Accept the rejection. Accept the rejection. Just do it anyway.
Well, I do. I keep writing. I just stopped trying to publish them.
Well, no.
What I mean is,
publish.
If
one
you
of these days I'll
expect
go the self-publishing route, probably.
Rage, if you expect 100% rejection, you're going to be pleasantly surprised because you're not going to get 100% rejection.
Oh, I know. I think any human being, if they applied themselves, they could sit down and write a book if they really tried.
I mean, not just write a book; they could do anything.
Yeah, I mean, like even if it's the most simple of books, they can get it done.
I mean, Trump became president. You guys.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to go the political route, but sure. Goddamn politics! I hate politics. I'd rather argue religion.
The Trump example works no matter who you're talking about, though. From the liberals' perspective, the man's clearly insane and Orange Man Bad syndrome, and from the conservative perspective, the man somehow managed to overcome all this horrific corruption, and fantastic, what a baller. I'm a liberal for the record, so I think Orange Man bad, but like
I don't know what the fuck I am. So
I'm worse.
You can make it work.
Liberal, so you're a moderate. Yeah, I'm a
socialist.
socialist.
Yeah, I'm not. It's
socialism.
I'm a scientist. I like to. I get really high and mighty about a very specific thing, so I don't have to get high and mighty about everything else.
I'm a socialist.
Well, you are.
I'm the type of socialist that gets canceled by other socialists. That's
So
I mean, I don't
on that
see you-
tapioca, go ahead.
I don't see you Leo canceling you, Rage.
Oh no, me and Leo have had words at times. We've had disagreements.
For the record, I think Leo. I agree with the vast majority of Leo's statements about physics that I think I am qualified to opine on. The guy is one of those autodidacts who, within the realm of rigorous physical statements, is pretty good.
He retains information at a phenomenal rate. Like I don't see how he does it.
The only time I have a problem with Leo is when he's drinking. He doesn't realize that his negative parts of his personality are like really coming out. But he'll get to a point where, and that's just like with anybody. But
yeah, we all do that. Yeah, I mean, I go back and look at myself drunk, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, what was wrong with me? Leo will have that moment.
Leo doesn't take much. He can have 2 beers and he goes off. But what happens is he is smart, but he holds people. He holds people to follow his mode of logic, and sometimes people don't understand because sometimes he'll use a lot of descriptive words and make people go along his mode of logic. But sometimes they just don't understand where they want, like where he's trying to lead them to go. You know, and they don't want to admit that. Anyway,
I agree. That's Leo's a smart dude, man.
I want to ask Tapioca, has there been multiple experiments that you were describing earlier causing areas of higher and lower density? And if so, does the pattern repeat? And if the pattern does repeat, is there any kind of homochirality about the pattern where alignments of the pattern show some kind of overarching larger pattern if that's been done?
Who asked that question? It's the answer is not no, which is why they might want to get into more contact. But I literally wrote a dissertation on this topic, so I don't. Who was asking?
It was me, Richard.
Oh, you just wrote it down. Okay, sorry. I was looking for it in chat.
Wrote what down?
I was. You were. I saw you. It looked like you were reading. I'm sorry. Were you just thinking about something you?
No, when I listen to people and and they're not looking at me, I have a tendency to look down when I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, it's no. Also, as soon as I do that, you'll notice I look off to the side or something when I'm thinking a lot, because it's less visual
distracting
noise.
Yeah.
Are we friends on Discord?
I don't use Discord.
You and I, yes.
It's just too damned annoying. It's unnecessarily complex, and it could have been a lot easier, and I find it annoying to even get there.
So you basically asked me to, I'm sorry, explain my dissertation right at the end of the stream. I am very happy to go into this topic in great detail, but I think it would be better to wait. The answer is, though, yes, we do see patterns. Homochirality, I don't think is really an applicable term here.
Oh, and
yeah, I don't know how else to say it, though, because I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard these ideas. You said them tonight, and I'm just my brain is just experimenting and extrapolating out from there and saying what's the next natural question.
Absolutely fair enough, and that's why I'm saying that it's something that I think we could devote some we should I should come on your channel and we can have a conversation or something all about this.
But I'm just talking out of my butt. I don't know what I'm talking about. It just seems like the next reasonable question.
I'm pretty good at navigating that. I've done it before. And your question didn't sound silly.
Okay.
at all. It was a good one.
This is my favorite thing, actually. Someone to introduce a brand new idea, and I just let go of my brain and see where it goes with it. And then I kind of say surprising things. Like I met a guy a couple years ago that was talking about AI, and he said there's something called the framing problem, where in order that something interact in physical ways with its actual reality autonomously, it pretty much needs to have every bit of senses that are necessary to interact with that environment. And I stopped him and I just went, wait a minute. Then our technology is too large for that reason that we could put something in the scale of this planet in our buildings. Like we can't make those kinds of sensors small enough often enough. Yeah. So that's the AI framing problem. But anyway, that's super interesting. Love new ideas. Peace and respect, Cryptomeria. What do you think of this stream? Aren't these interesting
awesome
people?
Stream. It's a great discussion.
And it just got more interesting because you're here, beautiful.
Thank you.
He's so cute.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
Oh God, I just want to eat him.
God damn it.
He's a big puffy marshmallow. Sounds
Don't
good.
tease me. It's
Jesus Christ, Richard.
Can buy candy at midnight, you know.
Did you say a big albino puppy?
I did not. I said a big puffy marshmallow, which is close. All right, guys, wrap it up. Final thoughts. We're killing this thing, putting a bow on it. Nobody?
Well, hold on a second. I thought you were gonna go in order. I don't know, like me.
Okay, I'll call it out. You're right. I'll call it out. Crypta, you go first, please.
I just thought this was a wonderful discussion. I thought it was great that we could engage in so many different views of theology in a respectful context. I know we haven't always had that over the years, but you know, it's 2023.
No, it's actually 2027.
As long as we don't have zombies, I'm sure we'll get through this year. And I just wanted to wish you all a happy new year.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Hit it, Rage. It's all yours.
Wait, no, I appreciate you having me on and let me come in and kind of try to catch up with the conversation here. Fascinating conversation. Tapioca Weasel, very smart dude. I enjoy you. P-Town, I enjoy you. You know, like I was all wiped out and tired in my stream earlier, and now I come into a room and I'm juiced up and I'm ready to go. It's like, man, it's 12 o'clock. I need to go to bed. So go to bed, Knock. Thanks for having me on.
Go ahead, P-Town. Shill whatever you got going on, guys. Also shill what you got going on. Go ahead, P-Town.
Well, Jesus is Lord and Savior, and have a beautiful night, guys. I'll see you next time.
Okay.
It's all you, Midnight.
Well, Richard, I'd like to thank you for having me, and just me, on, because it's not a stream without me on it, right?
Okay, I'm glad you appreciate that. If you really appreciate it, next time you'll bring your notebook.
Well, and I was going to say, it's not a stream if you're on it and you're not being quiet.
Hey, you know what? I'm just hold on. Hey, you know what, Rage? I'm just trying to be the old me before I spoke up.
Well,
right?
and I
better. It was better, right?
He's trying to wrap it at the hour. What are we doing?
I know you've come out of you've come out and been way more talkative. I kid with you. You're doing a good job.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead, Tapioca. You're the final nail in the coffin.
I do not have my own YouTube channel other than like hanging out and chat and stuff and being on people's streams. However, I did appear on Paleo Logos's channel recently, and I've been chilling that a bunch because he's super close to 1,000 subscribers, and it's a really interesting channel that I appeared on and am also shilling. So yeah, I'll shill you too, Richard, because you're awesome.
Thanks, brother. All right, thank you all very much, everyone who came on tonight, which a few of you guys aren't still right here right now, including Patrick and Sammy and I don't know. It's a long list. Thank you all for showing up. I appreciate the conversation. You guys, I know that I should be able to take it for granted, but I know that I can't. That all of you were considerate of each other, and you were intellectually responsible and respectful, and all those beautiful things that I want to encourage between human beings. So thank you all very much who came in for that, except for maybe one person wasn't, but I'm not going to do that. Thanks to all who showed up in the side chat. I appreciate you. Everyone who watches in the future. I want you all to know that I love you, and I look forward to the day that we're all great friends. Till next time.
Good night, everybody.